Okay, welcome back to another vid. Thought I'd do a pick-up vid. Got a few games. Thought I'd talk a little bit about them, at least the ones that I've played. There's two that arrived yesterday, so I've not had a chance to play them. But obviously I want them, otherwise I wouldn't have bought them. So we'll see. And maybe one day, no promises, but maybe one day I may do a gameplay video or two. We'll see. So I don't know where to start. I think there's 4 different systems here. There's the Amiga, there's the PS1, the Super Nintendo, and the Xbox One. So let's just start with the first one on the pile. Why not? Seems logical. It's Ghoul Patrol on the Super Nintendo. Again, me and PAL boxes. PAL Super Nintendo boxes. You absolutely can't beat them. But it's a really weird kind of colour scheme. You're purple, black, kind of lime, ooze, slime green. But it sort of works. I always apologise for the glare, but there's not a lot I can do. And especially now, I mean, I'm looking at the clock and it's 4:44, all the 4s. And it's pitch black pretty much outside, but that's what happens, doesn't it, in winter? But it means that, the lights make it all... The light's just rubbish, basically. But there's not a great deal I can do about that. But yeah, so this is... I believe it's an unofficial sequel of sorts. It is related to Zombies Ate My Neighbours. Is it Zombies Ate My Neighbours? I think that's what it's called. That was the first game. But I don't think that this is a direct sequel, but it's made by the same people, ultimately, and there's clearly a connection. So I've not played the first game, but I gather that this is significantly shorter. I think I read somewhere that the original one, or the first game in the series, if this is the second, had something like 50 levels, and this has got like 30. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad game, because it could be 50 levels of rubbish. It's not all about quantity, is it? It's about quality. So I've not played the first one yet to be able to judge it. I've just seen a few gameplay videos and all the rest of it. So it's kind of like a top-down, overhead. There's somewhat of a platform, but it's not really platform. Shooting elements to it. More of like an overhead kind of gauntlet-style gameplay. I'll show you the back, but you probably won't be able to work too much out. In fact, with some of that glare, you can't work anything out. But yeah, really good condition, actually. Now, I picked this up a while ago. I think off the top of my head, it was around about 40 quid. So, not cheap, but I really wanted it. And if you want it, then you've got to pay the asking price, haven't you? So I believe it was worth it, and it's in really good condition. And obviously, since I put it in one of these Sentinel kind of cases, it makes it look nice and bright and compact. And yeah, it's a decent game. Now, Super Nintendo-wise, I have picked up a few more games lately. And what I'm thinking of doing, but no promises, you might not even want to see it, but I think that takes me to either 20 or 25, I'll explain in a second, PAL box Super Nintendo games. I've got a few American ones. I do and will continue to grab American games in the future, but PAL is the priority. I think everyone pretty knows that with me. That's just the way it is, with nostalgia, and I won't go into that thing again. You've all heard it a million times. But yeah, I think I've got 20 here in America, and then I've got another 4 or 5, or whatever it is, at my mum's house. And what I want to get her to do, easy for me to say, is send them over before Christmas or before the New Year. It's a tall order, it's a busy time of the year. So if it happens, I may, no promises, and like I say, maybe you don't even want to see it, but I may do a collection vid of 20 or 25 PAL Super Nintendo games. I'll show you what the games are, I'll talk a little bit about them, what I feel, how much I like them, how much I rate them, what I think, how much I paid if I remember, all that kind of stuff. And they're all in pretty good condition. Because when it comes to the Super Nintendo, because I love the system, and I'm so nostalgic, here I am again going on about it, because I'm so nostalgic about it, I really bide my time. I want them in the best condition possible, optimum condition. I don't mind paying a little bit more. In fact, I don't mind paying a lot more if it's in great condition. So pretty much all the games I've got are in really good nick, and there's a few games which are absolutely brilliant, but I've not got 20, 25 games of the cream of the crop. There's games in there which you might not like, but I like them. So that's why I've got them. So that's that. Let's go into the PlayStation 1 games. Now, I've not played either of these, because one of them only arrived yesterday afternoon, so I've not got a chance. The other one just arrived a few days ago. In fact, before I do, let's just have a swig of tea. Be rude not to. There we go. So yeah, now this one's an interesting one. I got this on eBay.com, so in America, so I didn't have to import it. And it usually, well, I'll tell you what, it used to go for around about, at least from what I remember anyway, like 25, 30, 40 quid, maybe sometimes more. But in recent months, it appears to have come down a little bit. It's still going to be around about 25, 30 quid. But I had an opportunity to buy it for $20, which is around about... Oh, it's about $25, I think, which is around about 20 quid. So maybe say 5, 10, 15 quid. But it all adds up. And that game is pretty unique, and it's called Vib Ribbon. So Vib Ribbon, it's almost... What's the best way of phrasing it? It's kind of like a rhythm game of sorts, you know, where you control your character like a rabbit character, going along in these kind of very artistic kind of game. And these shapes will come up, and you've basically got to press the corresponding buttons to manoeuvre around the shapes. And there's not many tracks, I think, musical tracks in the game, because it's all based on audio. But what you can do is you can put your own CDs in there. So basically there's an infinite possibility of different maps or courses, if you like, to do. It's a very kind of niche game. There's not a lot of games like this, but it looked really intriguing when I saw it years and years ago. This is nothing new to me. I've been aware of this for a long, long time. I think it says, what does it say on here? It came out in 2000, but I think it came out the year before in Japan, but 2000 in PAL regions. So, pleased to get it. I've seen a few people in the old YouTube community pick it up over recent months and, well, in fact, years. And I always wanted to get it, but I wasn't prepared to pay 40, 50 quid for it, unless I had to. So to get it for what probably worked out around about 20, I'm pleased to do that. And then the last PlayStation game, there's a few Amiga games, sorry, Atari ST games, and then 2 Xbox One games. But this PlayStation 1 game, this is another one I picked up on eBay.com, so again, in America, rather than UK and importing it. But it's a weird one, because I saw it going for around about $6, I can't remember exactly, so really cheap, like 3 or 4 quid or something like that. And I'm not the kind of person who would just buy rubbish for the sake of having another PlayStation 1 game. You know, particularly because there's hundreds upon hundreds of PS1 games available. Probably like 2,000, isn't there? Maybe I heard that wrong. I'm sure there's a couple of thousands. So I don't just want to buy rubbish, because I know the PS1 has got a lot of rubbish. But I saw this game and I hadn't heard of it. Not that I've heard of all PS1 games. But what I like to do sometimes when I see a game like that on American eBay is I'll open up a parallel window on eBay UK and I'll put it in and I'll just see roughly how much it goes for. And if it's a good price, I'll buy the game in America, because what's the point paying more or even the same to import it? And the thing is with this game is I couldn't see it. And I thought, is there a typo somewhere in the listing, or have I spelt it wrong? But apparently not, you know. It appears as if it's a rare game, but not one that goes for a great deal of money. And that game is Carnage Heart. So it's almost like it's a mech warrior game. I mean, I've got a PAL PS1, I've got it behind me, you can kind of see it there in the shelf. But I've still not stuck it on. I've been busy. I'm not the kind of person just to buy and collect. I do want to play them all, I've just been busy. And it only arrived the other day. But yeah, kind of like a mech warrior style game. And it looks interesting. You can work absolutely nothing out of that, so that was kind of pointless me showing you. So, yeah, I was just really curious, because when I went on a few websites, obviously eBay being the main one, I could see a couple of previously sold listings, and but they were stretching back months and months and months. There was none present at the time of looking. Now, wait and see. You'll go on there now, and there'll be 500 of these bloody things on there. But it appears as if it's one of those games which is quite rare, but doesn't really go for a lot when it becomes available, if you see what I mean. So it's a bit like... there's another game I picked up a while ago. I've not featured on a pickup vid because I didn't see the need to. It's just a very cheap game. It's called World Cup Golf, again on the PlayStation 1. And it doesn't come up often, but when it does, it goes for about 3 quid. So it's one of them weird things, isn't it? You'd have thought that rare games would fetch more of a value, but that's not always the case. So that's that now. I've got 3 Amiga games and 2 for the Xbox One. I keep repeating myself. Now, the first one up... Actually, let's get this one out of the way, because I bought this on a bit of a whim. I had heard of it before, but I had no idea that the box art is as horrific as it is. It's so funny. I mean, right, I'll just show you it. I'm just going to show you this, right? What the hell is that? Now, the game is called Leatherneck. The name itself is ridiculous, but look how bad that box art is, man. That is, and the guy behind him as well. It is just truly, truly horrendous. His head, his face. It's, I mean, that is just truly, truly terrible. And then obviously on the side, you've got Leatherneck. On there, you've got nothing, so you couldn't see what it was, which is not very handy, I guess. So you've got no choice other than to face it like that on your shelf, which I guess you'd probably do anyway. But yeah, that artwork is just horrible. Now, ignoring that, which is very hard to do, but if you can, you'll see it's basically an Ikari Warriors kind of game. So, you know, a vertically scrolling game, and yeah, it's not as good as Ikari Warriors, which in itself wasn't amazing. I know that to some may be sacrilege, but it really wasn't. For me, the best kind of Ikari Warriors clone that I can think of off the top of my head would be Warzone. And I'm pretty certain... Let me see. I'm pretty certain I did a gameplay for Warzone. Probably maybe 3 or 4 years ago. A brilliant game. You've got to check that game out. It's really, really good. If you want to check out some gameplay, then check mine. But if I did it, if I didn't, then well, maybe I just dreamt it. I don't know. Sorry about that. Believe it or not, I got all the way to the end of the video, and then somewhere, maybe when I pressed one of these games down, I must have hit the mouse, and it stopped the recording. So I got all the way to the end of the vid. I showed an extra 4 games, and then went to kind of edit it, and half of the video was missing. Brilliant. So we just showed, which one was it? It was Leatherneck. How can you forget? Worst art ever. In fact, I know you want to see it again. There we are. We're close up of old Leatherneck there. That is just, I mean, Jesus. That's horrendous. That is, that is really, really bad. So, 2 more Atari ST games. I think I may have referred to them as Amiga. They're Atari ST. The best system. Well, whatever. Okay. That's another story for a different day. Right, the Chaos Engine. Brilliant game. Again, another kind of shooter. Top-down. Let's say top-down. Kind of all angles, really, essentially. And, yeah, made by the Bitmap brothers. This is a classic game. There was a sequel available as well. And the sequel, I don't think was on the ST, but was on the Amiga. And probably came out maybe around about 95 time. So pretty much by the time the Amiga was finished. So I don't think too many people got to play it. But yeah, a really, really good game. And yeah, the box art I think is absolutely brilliant. And look at the amount of screenshots. I know I've showed you just a few minutes ago. But look at that. Really, really good game with some fun memories of that. So maybe one day I may do a gameplay, maybe not. Now, this is funny because I've looked for this game for absolutely years. Now, I'm not saying it's never available. I'm sure it is. It's just that every time I've ever looked, I've never seen it. It's not to the level of Famous 5 on Treasure Island for the Amiga or Atari ST. If anyone remembers that story, I was looking for that game, I'm not even joking, for about 10 years on eBay, and I found 1 copy once. 1 copy, this is around about, oh, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, and the guy was selling it on a buy it now. I've told this story before, but he was selling it for a buy it now of 250 quid. And I was really angry because it was the first time I'd ever seen it. I really wanted it. It's not a great game. It's like kind of a point and click stroke text adventure. So you kind of type in, you know, walk east, walk west, examine this, that and the other. And it's got pictures and all that kind of stuff. So it's like a graphical text adventure. But I like those kind of games. You can use your imagination and you get immersed and all that kind of thing. Anyway, I used to really like it as a kid. I'd never seen it apart from this one guy. I sent him a message on eBay, and I wasn't rude, but I was annoyed. I didn't swear or anything like that, but I was like, come on, mate, you're having a laugh asking for that. That's a joke. It's a Famous 5 game. Come on. And I felt guilty because he was really nice. He replied back and he was like, oh, hi, Alex, you know, sorry about that. He says, but it is a really rare game. I did have 1 copy of this game a couple of years ago, and I sold it for 300 quid or whatever he said. He said, so it's obviously worth it. It's just, it's, you know, catering for a very specific niche kind of gamer. And I'm obviously one of them who wants the game. But I wasn't prepared to pay that 250 quid whatsoever. And then oddly enough, around about 2 or 3 years later, so this was like 2 or 3 years ago, I saw one listed. And it was at a starting price of 99 pence. And I thought, right, I'm having that game. If I've got to stay up until 3:30 in the morning, I am getting that game. Anyway, long story short, 99 pence starting bid. I put in a maximum bid of just over 100 quid because I really wanted this game. And, of course, I thought it was worth it because this guy was telling me he'd sold one for 300 quid. So, but I wasn't going to sell it. I wanted the game for me to keep, and I've still got it. So I won the game, spoiler alert. And it was on a pickup video 2 or 3 years ago anyway. But I put a 99 pence starting bid with a maximum bid of 100 quid. And long story short, as I say, I ended up winning it for like £3.77. There was one other bidder, and I won it for £3.77. I couldn't believe it. And if you think about it, I was prepared to pay 100 quid for that game, a Famous 5 game, and I've still not seen it since. I've got it now, so I don't regularly look for it, but every now and again I will look, and I don't see it on a current item, I don't see it on a sold item. It's genuinely a rare game, but it can go for a fortune, or it can not. I guess it depends. And this game here is one which I think, it's not going to go for a fortune, but it can probably fetch 25, 30 quid, maybe a bit more. It doesn't appear too often. Of course, you'll go on eBay now and you'll see thousands, but that game, with amazing box art, and the spines look absolutely impeccable. I love it anyway. It's called Stormlord. I mean, come on, look at that. Ignore that red bit at the bottom, which I think kind of gets in the way a little bit. But that blue, the sky, the dark in the background, oh, it looks absolutely brilliant. The dark, the night, and the turquoise kind of spines. It all adds into the beauty of it. Aesthetically, it looks brilliant. So it's basically kind of a platform, well, sort of a platform side-scroller, cross between not quite a shooter, just a side-scrolling kind of game. And it's not great. It's actually quite clunky in parts. The music is brilliant on the Atari ST. It really, really is good. And better than the Amiga version. I'm not even joking, believe it or not. So really pleased to get this. It's a massively nostalgic game. As I say, it doesn't play amazingly well, but check the artwork. Tell you what, check that out, right? Look at that. That is amazing. I think we can all agree. Intricate and brilliant. And then look at that. How, in the name of Christ, can you go from that to that? That is shocking. Leatherneck. Unbelievable. 2 games left, so I don't know why I said 4. 2 games left. The first one is... Now, I bought this game, I've got to be honest, because it's the winter, and I'm in kind of a Christmas, obviously, festive mood, and this has got snow in the game, and it's Mark McMorris Infinite Air. Now, what I've quickly discovered is this is very much the kind of game that if you are into your simulation snowboarding games, you're probably going to love this. Very intricate, you're going to be rewarded if you put the time and effort in. But if you're looking for instant gratification, a game like a 1080-degree snowboarding on the N64, or steep slope sliders, tongue twister for you, on the Sega Saturn, or cool borders on the PS1, or something like SSX on the PS3, I think that, on PS2 as well, I'm sure, and Xbox 360. That's it. This isn't that kind of game. You've got to master the game. You've got to put the time and effort in, and it can seem hard work. But when you do master it, you do get rewarded. But I've got to be honest, it is frustrating because I haven't really got the time or the patience, more than anything, to put into it to get rewarded. But maybe one day. And I tell you what annoys me, well, not quite literally annoy me, but there's another game which has just come out a couple of weeks ago, I think, or last week, called, I think it's called Steep. And that, I believe, is more arcade-driven. Again, on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. So when that comes down to around about $10, $15, I think I'm going to grab it. Or maybe even 20, 25, whatever, it's Christmas. I think I'll grab it soon. Twice in one video, telephone rang. I'm going to wrap this up really, really quickly. So last but not least, we've got Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Now, I basically bought this, like most people have, for Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, which is really good. It looks good, obviously so much better than the original that came out on the 360 and the PS3. The multiplayer is really good, albeit I've no intention or inclination to take it online with other people, but you can play it offline with bots. So you can set the maps, you can set the rules, you set the amount of opponents or teammates. It's good, I like it, I'm having fun. It's with computer control players, it's stress-free. So I advise anyone else to try it if you're not into the multiplayer thing. So that's really good. I'm probably a quarter of the way through the campaign. I did finish it on the 360, got all the achievements for it, but I'm really liking it again. It is definitely, I don't care what you say, it is definitely the best Call of Duty today. Definitely. Call of Duty 2 runs it very close, maybe even World at War as well, but this is, for me, the best, without question. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, I am interested in giving it a go. I can't lie. It does look interesting, but the multiplayer, not interested. If there's bots, I may try it offline. I think there is, actually. But in terms of taking it online, absolutely forget it. By the way, in case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just grabbing all the games here. So, but yeah, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, bloody hell. I used to be massively into COD, but the last few years I've just kind of gone off it. But I do like the campaigns more often than not. Anyway, that's all. I'm sorry for the 2 or 3, whatever it was, interruptions. Until my next vid, there's a little preview of the bloody Leatherneck again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.